Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning. That's it, misty morning. So good, so good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, whatever you have over there, maybe something harder, right? So today is going to be a Starlink month in review. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do at least once a month a review on how Starlink is doing. Is it doing well? Is it not? Any kind of quirks? What is going on with it? What is my experience with it, let's say? So that's what we're going to start doing because you want it, number one, and I think that it's very important so that later on, if you go into the Starlink playlist that I've put together for you guys, you'll be able to see all of these and then check to see if things are getting better, are they getting worse, along with all the other coverage that I do on Starlink. So hopefully you learn a thing or two. If you don't know that I have a Starlink playlist, I do. And if you're here for photography or videography and not Starlink or tech, well, I'll be doing video and photo probably tomorrow. So we're trying to vary it up a little bit because a lot of folks are saying, hey, I really enjoy your Starlink content. It's been very helpful for me. So I kind of want to help you guys bridge that digital divide. I know it's like a kind of a quirky term, but what I've experienced with Starlink is basically that, bridging the digital divide from having very, very little to having a lot and now opening up a realm of possibilities, let's say, that wasn't available to me 6 months ago. So anyways, let's get into this Starlink month in review. But before we do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. You can find the hard copy of my book, How to Create a Digital Fort Knox, Backing Up Your Digital Life. You can find the prologue to that free there, as well as 10 tips to making tack-sharp images. There's something there for everyone. Go check them out. Once again, they're free. So let's start out with some positives. A lot of people, they like starting with the negatives and then going to the positives. I'm going to give you the positives first. One of the biggest positives is I'm not getting as many of this no signal received or searching or network issue or whatever. I'm not getting as many of those. Now, in the past, I was getting a lot of drops where it would say network issue and it will say 2 seconds or 5 seconds or 20 seconds. And there would be a lot of them. What Starlink's app does is it maintains like a database of all of your errors for a 12-hour window. So if you go into that app, you can now see where there is problems. Is it due to obstructions? Is there network issues? Is it no signal received? Like it can't see the satellite? What is the problem? And it'll tell you right there. So every once in a while, I'll actually look and it'll say, you're doing great. No errors or no problems in the last 12 hours. That's happened a few times. Whereas when we first got the unit itself, well, it wasn't happening at all. There would always be some type of errors. So the errors are becoming fewer and further between, but that's until it rains. I'll get into that in the negatives in just a second. So more of the positives are the antenna itself is extremely, extremely durable. Very strong. When you connect the antenna to a Starlink mount, when I first did it, I'm like, how is this going to hold? There's no bolts. There's no nothing. If you have put a dish up yourself in the past for like Dish Network or DirecTV or whoever, you'll know that you put the antenna on and then you like drill it in. There's like bolts that go straight through the unit. There's usually like 2 or 4. It's crazy, right? Well, the Starlink mount simply just works with like one button. It goes, it slides in, it snaps in, and that's it. Now, how do I know it's strong? Well, just a couple of days ago, we had a tornado hit the property. And it was violent. You couldn't see outside. It was completely white. When it was all over, we saw that the basketball net was upside down. Now, this basketball net, the base of it has gallons and gallons and gallons of water in it. That's the way those things are. You fill them up with water, they become extremely heavy, and they don't topple over. Well, it literally flipped this thing with hundreds of pounds of water in it. So it was violent. But the Starlink dish wasn't scathed. It was just like we didn't have a tornado. So It was pretty, I was amazed. I was very amazed. This one little button, if you push the button, it releases the whole thing, and you could pull the antenna off and stow it if you need to. For example, if a hurricane comes through. Well, I'll get into that in just a second. So anyways, it's very strong. That was one of the things that I was really amazed by, because I thought that there would be some type of damage after the tornado, and there wasn't. So that's great. Also, when we do a ping test, we're getting approximately 1% packet loss or less. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, if you don't know what a ping test is, basically you can do it on a Windows machine or a Mac. As a matter of fact, in the description below or in the pinned comment, I'll write exactly how to do it for both Windows and Mac. But the way it works is you ping a specific server. If you don't want to know what a ping is, it's basically like the old school ping pong game where you'd say ping and then pong, and then ping and then pong. The same thing as one of those video games, right? You send out a packet, and then the server receives it and sends you an acknowledgement packet back saying, hey, we got it. Ping, pong. Well, if there's any kind of interruptions in the network, when you say ping, all of a sudden it sits there, and then it goes pong. And then what would happen is the amount of milliseconds that it takes for that round trip gets denoted in this ping test. That is what we call latency. How long does it take for you to send a packet out and get a reply back? The lower the latency, the better. When we're talking fiber optics, sometimes latency is anywhere from 0 milliseconds up to about 20, let's call it 20 milliseconds. With Starlink, latency is anywhere from 20 milliseconds up to about 35 to 40 milliseconds if you're in a good location. Seeing that there's only 1% or less than 1% drop packets, that is really good. That means it's able to send a ping and receive a pong without a delay, or a minimal delay. And I'm currently getting about 30 to 35 millisecond pings. So I was getting better when I was associated with the POP down in Miami, but we're currently associated with the POP in Georgia, 700 miles away instead of 70. Can't fix that because Starlink is just that way. They say, oh, we got this. That's where you need to be. Thank you very much. It's not where I need to be, but that's for another video. Anyways, about 30, let's call it 30 to 35 milliseconds. That is not bad at all. That is definitely doable. If you are a first-person shooter gamer, you can do 30 milliseconds without a problem. Would you like 0 milliseconds or 20? Yes, absolutely. But with 30, you're not dying as often as you have, let's say, 100 milliseconds, okay? So it works out pretty well. Now, once again, I'm going to write how to do it below, but I'll also tell you real quick so that if you're listening to this through like a podcast or whatnot, you don't have to go and try to find out where this is. If you're in Windows, you just simply go into MS-DOS, and at that command prompt, you type in ping space 1.1.1.1 space dash or minus sign T for Tom. That's it. If you're on a Mac, you can do ping space 1.1.1.1 and then just hit enter, and that's it. So either which way, bear in mind 1.1.1.1 is Cloudflare's DNS server. You can also do 8.8.8.8, which is Google's DNS server. Either which one works perfectly fine. So give that a shot and see what you end up with when it comes to your milliseconds with your pings. Now, for example, if you're in MS-DOS and you do this and you let it run for 20, 30 minutes and then you hit Control-C to stop it, at the end, it will give you a summary. It'll tell you what your lowest ping was, what your average ping was, as well as your maximum ping. So that's really good information. And then it'll also give you what is the amount of missed packets. How many packets are missing? I've had these things run so far. I think the maximum I've done is about a day straight, where we're talking about like 15, 20,000 packets and still getting less than 1% lost, 1% data lost. Now let's get into a few of the negatives. Number one, we this month had a Ethernet adapter failure. There seems to be a problem with Starlink's Ethernet adapters. They're dongles, as I call them. And I don't know what it is, but something is failing internal to these units. And I was having slowdowns, and then it was like sporadic, and then all of a sudden there was no signal, and then the signal would come back, and then there would be slowdowns. And I did a whole video on this. Once again, check out that playlist. And what was happening was the internals to the dongle were, I guess, loose. So what it would do is it would go from 100 base T to 1,000 base T, basically 100 base T and then to a gigabit. And it was going back and forth, and then it would just shut off, and then it would go back and forth and just shut off. It was like loose internally or something. So I contacted Starlink, and they replaced it quite quickly. It was only a few days, so that should go into the positives column. The negative is that I had to do it even at all. You're talking about a brand new piece of equipment that's only like 6 months old. There's no reason why I should have to replace it. Now, what I've found out is this is happening with a lot of people, not just me. When I put out that video, people are like, oh my God, this is the exact same thing that's happening to me. I'm getting all these slowdowns. That's why I keep telling people in the comments, if you're getting slowdowns and the slowdowns are from using your Ethernet, chances are, or could be, the problem with your dongle. So I always tell them, listen, test out your Wi-Fi, but make sure it's Wi-Fi and it's the 5.0 gigahertz, not the 2.4 gigahertz, the 5 gigahertz. Test that out and see if it is faster than your Ethernet cable. If it's faster than your Ethernet cable, you know you're having a problem because Ethernet will always be quicker. So I had a really nice guy send me over. His name is Sean. You know who you are, Sean. Sent me over this priority mail. Look what it is. This is his dead unit. This is what they look like. So if you don't know, if you have a Generation 1 Starlink unit, you do not need this because it has this port, this Ethernet port. You can see it right back here. This Cat 5, let's call it Cat 6, Cat 7. This is an Ethernet port. This port is already built into your Generation 1 router. Whereas with the Generation 2, like what I have, you need this dongle to get this coming out of it. Anyways, something is dead in here, and Sean said, hey, I'm going to send this over to you, and maybe you can tear it down on air and show people what's inside, and maybe you can figure out what the hell is going on with these things. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So wait for that, guys. It's going to be coming pretty soon. You're going to see this thing get tore up, and we're going to see what is going on, what makes this thing tick. And since we know this one is bad, maybe we can find the problem. Who knows? And if Starlink is watching, SpaceX, maybe they'll figure it out too through us. But I'm going to venture to say they already know what the problem is, and they're probably fixing it in future releases of these. There's probably something in there that's not getting soldered right or something. But anyways, I digress. So that is one of the negatives of what's going on. Also, I'm seeing that speeds are not what they once were. Now, I've been telling you about speeds getting better and then they get worse. They're almost sporadic at this point, whereas they're kind of good and then they're not good, they're not good. I'm getting download speeds anywhere from about 50 to 225 megabit down. 225 is really good, but 50 is not, considering we should be getting 100 plus. Also, as far as the up speed, we're getting anywhere from about 10 megabits up all the way up to about 25, 23 megabits up. 23 is really good. 10 is just okay. So there is this varying speed going on. And why that is, I really don't know. There's no obstructions. There's no nothing. I'm having a feeling that it has to do with network congestion. I've talked to you guys about this 2 videos ago. Right now, if you go over to starlink.com/map, you'll end up seeing an availability map. But what's interesting about that availability map is you have waiting list area, and then you have available area, and then you have a coming soon area. If you look at the waiting list part of the map, if you are located in one of those areas, you're probably going to end up with some type of issue that I'm having. We are having sporadic speed issues. And I think that has to do with network saturation. The number of people that are online in that specific region or that specific area. I think that is what's going on. Don't quote me. I don't know. But I think this problem may be moot not too far in the future. And the reason being is as we see the generations or the version 1.5s and 2.0s come online and they have their built-in lasers and they're communicating up in the air instead of on the ground, I think things are going to get quicker, more reliable, just simply better all the way around. So we're going to be waiting for that. Hopefully that ends up being the case. I feel that it would. Now, summertime is here. We're in sunny South Florida, and South Florida in the summer is far from sunny. Even though it's said to be sunny, every single day there seems to be some type of thunderstorm or power outage or just something. It is severe weather. And like I said, we had a tornado come through here just a couple of days ago. What I've noticed is there is a lot of fade that happens with the current SpaceX dish, the antenna. When there is light rain, it's not affected too much. But as soon as the rain gets a little bit heavier, we get fade. And we'll go from 100, 150 to, like I said, 220 megabits down, all the way down to 50. So that's an issue. Also, once the rain picks up and becomes hard rain, let's call it, the dish is gone altogether. The exact same thing that we would have with Dish Network or DirecTV from satellites that are sitting at 500 kilometers further away from the planet than these are. Remember, Starlink satellites are in LEO or low Earth orbit. They're sitting right around, I think, 550 kilometers from Earth. They're pretty close considering. So I really would like to see these antennas amp up a little bit. I don't care if they draw more power. I am not worrying about an extra 25 cents a month to be able to go from 100 watts to 130 watts. I'm okay with that, all right? Do you have a gain dial, SpaceX? Is there a gain dial? Because if there is, let's see if we can turn that gain dial. I would like to have a little bit more strength behind it, especially during inclement weather. I would imagine you guys that have snow are probably experiencing the same thing. Any type of heavy rain, experiencing the same thing. I think that would be something cool to implement because we know for a fact that they can change the amount of watts that are coming out of that thing. They can turn them up. I think the maximum anyone has rated them up to like 150, 155 watts. And then when it's sitting there in like sleep mode, let's call it, it's all the way down to like 30, 40 watts. It really doesn't consume a lot of energy. But if that's the case, it would be really great. Almost like your Wi-Fi system, right? Being able to turn up that gain. That would be awesome. But is that a possibility? I really don't know. Anyways, guys, this is kind of the month in review when it comes to Starlink. This is what I have been experiencing. I really want to hear from you. If you have Starlink, what are your experiences for last month? Let's say now we're at the beginning of June. How did May turn out for you? I would really like to hear that because I think it's important for not just me to be able to have conversations with you, but also for everyone else that's watching this channel. How is it working? How is things going with you? Is there any problems? What are the positives and what are the negatives? That is what I would want to know. Once again, in the comment area below this video, put that information. Let's have this conversation. If you want to get more Starlink coverage, that's all you have to do is find the Starlink playlist right on the channel itself. Go in there. There's probably 40, 50, 60 videos on helpful how-tos, tricks, tips, all sorts of things having to do with Starlink. Once again, if you're here for video or photo, probably tomorrow you'll see more of that. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed it even a little bit, please throw it a thumbs up. Also considering contributing to the channel. Maybe clicking the little thanks button down there or simply becoming a member. Whatever works for you. I appreciate every little bit. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel as of yet, why the hell not? Subscribe to the channel and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And share the channel with your friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, Facebook, wherever. Anyone that you know that is either a fan or an enthusiast of Starlink, or maybe just brand new to Starlink and they want to know more about it, send them over to our channel. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.